Good evening, everybody. My name is Jonathan. This is Las Vegas Collectibles. I am a COVID born collector. I'm into comic books, sports cards, trading cards, non sports cards. And I came in 2019, so I'm a noob, right? So I'm coming in with my perspective. I believe it's kind of a fresh perspective compared to a lot of these long term people involved in these hobbies. And what I've been noticing, I want to bring to your attention, this goes across all genres of collectibles. I don't care what you're into, comic books, sports cards, trading card games like Magic the Gathering. They're all saying the same thing. Buy the dip. We've gone through crashes before. Everything will be all right. We'll get through it. If you're having second thoughts about whether or not you should sell your collections, think about why you got involved in this anyways. Maybe it was the artwork, maybe it was the players, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. And so everybody's saying basically the same thing. Stay in. You know, we went through a crash in 1990s, right? You had fallen empires for Magic the Gathering. Everything was printed to oblivion, everything was worthless, everybody was leaving the game, right? You had the junk wax era, right? In sports cards. In comic books, the same era. More junk wax, but it wasn't wax, it was junk comic books because everything was overprinted. Everything was worthless. Nothing was special. And everybody's saying that we're doing the same thing again, right? I'm sure you've heard it a bunch of times. Junk wax era 2.0. The junk slab era because everything's graded now, right? Or Magic the Gathering is printed to oblivion, like in 2017 with Hour of Devastation, right? Everything, we've been through these things before. This is just like that. And look at those items now. Look at those items from the 90s, how much they're worth now. Look at those Hour of Devastation and Amon Kitty Cat boxes. Oh man, they're worth so much money. We're going to be fine. That idea, that concept, I think is garbage. And I believe they all are saying this because they have heavy, heavy bags and they're blind as hell to what's going on around them. This 2022, this crash has very little in common with the previous crashes in the collectible space. And the primary reason, my main argument, is the opportunity cost for any individual involved in these collectibles at this time in 2022. The opportunity cost is too high. If you get out of Magic the Gathering now, if you get out of sports cards, if you just stop buying sports cards, where are you going to go next? There's a million freaking options. This is 2022. This isn't 1990s. This isn't the day and age of beepers and freaking payphones. You have so many other options. There's cell phone video games. There's just video games in general. There's so many. There's NFTs. There's FIFA Plus. If you're a soccer card fan, now you can have soccer. It's the same kind of concept with Top Shot, right? There's Top Shot. Yeah, they all went to trash. Top Shot went to trash, right? There's League of Legends. There's Magic the Gathering Arena. There's all these digital space options for people to put their money. There's cell phone games for people to put their money. There's statues. There's physical items that you can buy outside of these normal collectibles that didn't exist before. There's new trading card games. Popular ones, Flesh and Blood. Sorcery's coming out with Frank Frazetta art. If you've never seen Frank Frazetta, it's beautiful art. Amazing, legendary art. So there's other trading card games. There's miniature games. There's Warhammer. There's these Star Wars figures. My point is, this crash 2022 has nothing. Okay, that's a lie. Has very little in common with 1990s era crash of all these collectible genres. And the primary reason is that opportunity cost. If you lose somebody now, they most likely will never come back. Because the people that did come back during COVID are people like me. I'm the prime example of somebody that came into the collectible world because of COVID, which was a black swan event, creating all-time high prices. It's not going to happen again. The amount of things that have to line up for all-time high prices again against all collectibles, I don't care, sports cards, comic books, whatever, it's unbelievable if you really think about it. We had years of 0% interest rates. We had free money coming at us with stimulus checks all of a sudden. Everybody was allowed to stay home and made a bunch of money, a lot of it fraudulent through PUA and PPP loans. Unemployment for everybody. Everybody gets money, blah, blah, blah. You had 0% interest rates for how many freaking years? How many years has it been below 5%? You're going to have to replicate that many years of 0% interest rates, then give everybody a bunch of free money, then be able to tell everybody, yeah, you don't have to go to work. We got you. We're just going to give you some more free money for the all-time highs to return. You have to do all those things. You can't just go back to 0% interest rates. You're going to have to go to 0% interest rates for a decade. Like, it's just not going to happen again. And none of these content creators with their heavy, super heavy bags are able to even tell you that that's even a possibility. They don't want to believe it. They're blinded by their heavy bags. There's like, there's no way that all this stuff is going to go to zero. This stuff will last forever. 20 years ago, nobody cared. Nobody thought we would have the technology we do now, but we do. What do you think is going to happen in the next 20 years? In the next 20 years, do you think another crazy boom is going to happen in cardboard? Or do you think the next crazy boom will be all the things that are crashing now that technology will embrace later on in the future? NFTs, crypto, who knows? Right? Will that be the nostalgia of the children now? Of everybody that's 5 to 15 years old? Will they be chasing cardboard? Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. Or will they be chasing crypto and NFTs? Will they be chasing something else in a digital space, the metaverse, and all that? You think they're going to be chasing sneakers? You think they'll still be wearing sneakers? Yeah, they'll probably have sneakers, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, like, the opportunity cost is too great. There's too many other options out there. This crash is going to cause people to migrate to other collectibles, other things like the digital space. They feel like they got burned. They went into hobbies that are crashing and they're just trash. They spent thousands of dollars on sports cards that are now worth pennies on the dollar. They bought a bunch of modern sealed boxes, like Rudy from Alpha Investments tells them to. And now they're not worth the money they even paid for it 2 years ago. You should invest in these things. They go nothing but up. Stonks. You remember stonks? The people who now feel disenfranchised by what Magic the Gathering is doing, who feel disenfranchised by buying a bunch of base Prism cards, that feel disenfranchised by buying a bunch of sealed products, Marvel cards, all these things at high prices over the last 2 years, and now that they're burned, they're selling out, and they're just like, screw it, I'm done with this. You think they're going to come back? They're going to have a bad taste in their mouth whenever they think about it. So they're going to go ahead and move on to something else. And whatever that something else is, that'll be their hobby for a while. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. If they're still alive when another boom happens, you know, if it comes quick enough. I don't think another boom is going to happen, though. I think the all-time highs have been hit. There'll be very few things that ever get back to those all-time highs. Very few. Less than 1%. And I believe all these content creators have such heavy bags, they're blinded by what's going on around them and what happened in the first place for this boom to even happen, that they cannot see a world in which another boom doesn't happen. They cannot see a world where they don't make 10% on their Magic the Gathering sealed boxes, that they don't make money off of their base Prism PSA 10s. They can't even conceive that it is possible that they spent a bunch of money and they'll never get it back because their bags are too heavy and they're blinded. It is my belief that this crash is not like Fallen Empires, is not like Junk Wax era, is not like the 90s for comic books. because there's plenty of other options for all of us collectors to go to that didn't exist in the 90s. You had dial-up modem and no cell phone. Now you have Star Wars, Marvel Strike Force games. You got Rise of Empires. You got all these digital space things grabbing for people's attention, just waiting for other areas to fail in order to get market share, to get those people into their sectors. And you know what? A lot of people are saying digital spaces are failing. League of Legends is failing. Magic the Gathering Arena is failing. And you know what? You might be 100% right. But those things didn't even exist in the 90s. So even if there's half of the players in League of Legends, half of the players in Magic the Gathering Arena, half of the players in Dungeons and Dragons Online than there was a year ago, that's still a whole lot more people doing other stuff than there were in the 90s. Because in the 90s, there was no options. What were you doing? What were you doing when that crash happened? And then people started coming back in the 2000s. Slowly and surely, players started coming back. People started collecting cards again. People started buying comic books again. Not a lot. Not nearly like the boom with the free money and no mortgage interest, no interest rates. I should just say 0% interest rates and keep it simple. Even though other things might be failing also, there's still people doing those. And there's other things coming out every month, every year that will take attention and people away from the hobby. Whatever your hobby is, sports cards, whatever it is. Do you think market movers and sports card investor, you think they're going to start laying off people, or that they're going to keep growing? As more and more people exit the hobby, there's going to be less and less demand for their app. There's going to be less and less ad revenue that they develop from their app. So it's going to be dependent on how many active users are renewing their memberships. And do you think that number of active users renewing their membership is going to grow in the next 20 years or fall in the next 20 years? You think there'll be more people involved in the card hobby at a point in which they need up-to-date price changes, fluctuations on a separate app versus just looking up the prices on eBay for free or on TCG Marketplace for free? Like, just remove yourself from whatever Timmy brain situation you got going on that you're very passionate about. I have Timmy brain. I'm very passionate about a lot of things, but you know what? You got to remove yourself every now and then and really think about it. Market movers and sports card investors are going to start laying people off eventually, because there's just not going to be enough people involved in the hobby to give a crap to pay for their staff. It's going to happen. Everybody's got these freaking heavy bags, and they can't conceive of a world in which the highs have been hit, the world might be shifting to a digital space, and the people that leave may never come back. That's my tinfoil hat. That's my perception of what's going on in the world. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Take care, everybody. Tinfoil hat. Take care.